Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for being here. My name's Bryn Durgan and I'm the Director of Programming here at Bookstore One. And if you've been to any of our events before, then you'll know we do a lot of programming. So we have Write Nights, we have Spanish literary salons, all sorts of author talks, workshops, you name it. But we rely on people like you to continue doing what it is that we do as an independent bookstore. So thanks for being here. And so for the next hour, I'll be in conversation with our author of the hour. And then we'll open up to questions from the audience, and then we'll segue into a book signing. So if you haven't grabbed a copy of the book yet, we do have a bunch downstairs. But let me introduce you to the person you're here to see. She's lived quite a few lives: academic, traveler, teacher, sommelier, essayist, and now novelist. She grew up in Buffalo, New York, and by her own admission, moved immediately after the Bills' 4th Super Bowl loss for better odds. She's since lived everywhere from Alaska to Florida, where she currently resides, watching her hair expand by the minute in our subtropical humidity. She earned a PhD in higher education administration and held academic positions at Penn State, University of Maryland, University of Alaska Anchorage, and Matsu College, and has taught everything from ballroom dancing to graduate statistics. Her debut novel, Elizabeth Sails, was released last year with Rising Action Publishing, Simon & Schuster, and was shortlisted this year for the Gilda Prize and Killer Nashville's Silver Falchion Award, is it Falchion? Okay. For Best Cozy Mystery. So please join me in welcoming Kristin Owens.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It's fantastic to be here. I love this bookstore.
Thanks.
There's so much good stuff in here.
Thanks. Yeah, we love it too. So tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay, so everybody always says write what you know, correct? And that's not exciting sometimes. So when I was being pushed by my writing group to write something a little bigger, rather than articles about beer and wine, and to write a novel, they said, write what you know. And I said, well, that could be all kinds of things, but how do I make that interesting to a reader? So one of the things that really impacted me was being on a ship for the first time. And that was when my husband and I moved from Europe back to the States about 20 years ago. And we were on the Queen Mary 2.
Okay.
And we felt like two turnips that fell off the truck. Everybody were in gowns, beautiful tuxedos, and we just thought it was like Downton Abbey but on the water. And we were mesmerized by it. Ballroom dancing, tea at 4:30, just everything. And I, to this day, was one of the most impactful experiences I've had.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a young person. I was in my 30s, but still.
Careful.
I know, right? Like, I wasn't a teenager.
Yeah.
I was a married woman.
Yeah.
But to this day, it was so impactful as an adult to have that experience. And I wanted to write about that. Well, that would have been lovely. We're going to go on this beautiful ship. I'm going to have a story on a ship. But what if the person on the ship really felt awkward? Kind of like I did, but dial it up to 20. And just being on the ship was going to be problematic for her. But compound that with having to do tasks that she's uncomfortable with, that she has a list of things that she doesn't like to do, and she has to do them in order to go to the next step, to find the will, and it is a scavenger hunt. So her aunt knows all this. So let's place Elizabeth in the most uncomfortable of situations, and let's make her do things that is on the list of things that she does not do, and let's see what happens.
Well, and setting it on a cruise ship, I thought, is brilliant because it is confinement at the same time as it is escape, right?
Yeah.
And it's indulgence and isolation at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I think that, right, it gives you possibilities with the character that you wouldn't have if you were to set it on.
Right. And she could hide in her cabin. She could have stayed in her cabin the whole time. But she knew from the love of her family that she needed to get out and do some of these things. But also her sense of adventurism, wanting to go out and experience new countries, eat new food, do all those types of things. How could she not? I mean, it was right there for her. It was very easy for her to say yes.
Right, and she's a ghostwriter.
She is a ghostwriter for politicians, so that was fun.
So what interested you about a character that is, writing other people's stories in that way?
I think that's the ultimate introvert in terms of, I don't have anything to say, I'll just regurgitate somebody else's story. And I think that it was safe for her, but I also know at this point in her life that she's tired of it. She's tired of, she gets paid very well to do it, and she's just tired of the same old self-aggrandizement of their efforts and escapades, and it just becomes weary to her. And if you read the book, I don't know if you know, but there are 3 anagrams in the book.
Oh, I wouldn't. What are they?
I can't tell you. So the people that she writes for, they're all anagrams.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun. Now you got to go back and look.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have a background in nonfiction writing, magazine writing.
Yeah.
And so were there any habits that you formed in that work that kind of carried over into this, or did you have to change your process?
That's a really good question. I write short. So as in journalism, you write short. You get to the point, you give all the facts, and then you move on. There's not a lot of room for creativity. So your voice gets very focused on the piece. And so when I first started writing a novel, I wrote like 40,000 words, and I'm like, that's it. That's all I got. And a novel's at least 65, 70. And what else am I going to say? And so it was hard for me to go back then and just add, which I know is completely opposite of what most writers have. They tend to put too much on the page and have to come back and scale it back. I have the complete different issue. So, but it's been good for me to get to the point and be able to use an economy of words to do that, and be very, very selective about what I do put on the page.
Yeah, and it's funny without being flippant.
Yes, yeah. There's big voice there, and I think that she's very naive, and she says things that are probably a little childish, for somebody her age. But I think we all feel like that. We've got this small child that really hasn't grown up a lot, and it comes out when she's having anxiety or whether she's not focused, and I think that's kind of fun and adorable. So I really kind of played that up for her.
Yeah. And did you think of the ship as a character itself?
A lot of people ask me that, and I really haven't thought of that way. I thought of it as a base. This is everything's going to be connected to the ship somehow. The idea of not fitting in, the people that are working on the ship, she's not used to dealing with people who have very high levels of customer service. She's being placed into situations that make her uncomfortable, like what fork do you use at dinner? But yet she's a smart person and she wants to learn, so she's seeking out the answers.
Right.
And learning about wine. Of course, I had to throw wine in there because and the dancing and all of that, and just kind of expanding her horizon. I think it just was an opportunity to use the things that happen on the ship to really pull out some personality on her.
Right. So, speaking of questions, every novel, every book really has a question that it's trying to answer. So looking back, what question do you think you were trying to answer when you wrote Elizabeth Sales?
How far would you go out of your comfort zone to do something for somebody else? That would be, who's no longer alive.
Right.
She's not going to get anything out of this. I mean, Aunt is not going to get anything out of this. So what would you, loyalty? So it's playing with a lot of that. The other thing that I really liked about this book was the opportunity to look at perspectives, especially with her and her sister.
Right. So
Victoria, her sister, is really never on the page. She's only through Elizabeth that you experience Victoria.
Right.
In the second book, it's all about Victoria, and it's about Victoria's experiences, and then you get to learn about Elizabeth through Victoria.
Okay.
So she's on a similar journey to
is
Elizabeth.
It a direct sequel, or
It's not a sequel. It's
just in the same world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Both books happen at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So Victoria.
Right, because they share the aunt.
Yes, and they're on the same week of time. So if you happen to read the second book, it still could be the first book.
Is the second book out?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
we're working on it. We're working on it.
Okay, and did you
Yeah.
know that there would be a second when you were writing the first? No. Okay.
No, but I knew when it ended that I didn't want it to end and say, okay, she's done. Let's put a period on it. It's over, and she's better now. No, there's always more to do. There's always more to experience, and I wanted her to kind of continue and almost be challenged at the end. I won't give it away, but she has that opportunity to do more, or to just sit back and say I did enough, and
Right.
she makes a really interesting choice.
Yeah, right. And I think too, what's interesting about the story, there's not a grand tragedy. It's not. It really finds meaning in ordinary courage, and I do think, or we're seeing like a trend, and people are hungry for that right now. Like, why do you think that is?
I just had a really good conversation about this with 3 other debut authors this morning.
Really?
I was part of the debutante class of 2024.
Okay.
It's a group of women authors who debut in the same time, and we get selected by the previous group, and there have been as many as 8 in the group, but last year there was only 4, myself and 3 other women, and we're called the debutante class.
That's funny.
And it's very cute, but there's been New York Times bestsellers that have been in the deb groups, just really incredible authors that we can reach out to.
Yeah.
But the conversation this morning was, we're all kind of struggling with our second books because the books just don't happen in like 6 months. They're planned in your head for maybe a couple months. You'd probably start playing with them on paper, and then you commit to writing, and then if you're not feeling it, you have to take a step back. And that process is a lot of pulling and pushing, and if it doesn't feel right, you can't really make yourself do it. So on top of that is what's going to sell.
Right.
It's not just, what am I willing to write, but what's going to sell. And we've all had conversations with our agents in the last probably month or 2, and the agents are telling us horror or cozy mystery.
Yeah.
The 2 very, very far ends
Although they have
continuum.
in the Venn diagram, the overlap there is like you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Is the unknown.
Yeah. And I think people are just looking for something to be happy reading, to be content reading. They don't want surprises so much. They just want to enjoy the book in front of them. And I think it's a lot having to do with the political climate right now.
Yeah.
And we kept going back to that in this conversation this morning, is like, how do we combat that in our work?
Right.
But yet one author, her second manuscript was rejected and her third manuscript was rejected because it was too political.
Yeah.
And the publishers just don't want you to talk about politics or anything related to politics.
Right.
Any issues.
Because really, we're so inundated with that
All
right
the
now,
time,
and so
yeah.
it is nice to take something in.
Take a breather.
Right. Yeah. But also, like a release valve. But at the same time, in a time like this where things feel so out of your control, I think, right? Like and I think a lot of people feel that way. What's nice about a book like yours is that it shows like a person taking control.
Yes.
And that feels good.
Yeah.
That ordinary courage.
Yeah. And I think everybody, a lot of people, when I do interviews or podcasts, they say, well, are you Elizabeth? Are you Aunt Ethel? Which character are you? I'm like, I'm all of them.
Yeah.
A writer has to be all their characters because that's what you're drawing from.
Yeah, and a reader can relate to those at different times of their life too.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah, so the characters, yes, there are parts of me that are in Elizabeth, that are in, anybody on that ship. And I think it's important because you have to speak that truth. You just can't say, oh, this person's going to be 6 foot tall and have black hair. That's not exciting. That's not interesting. You can't relate to that.
Right.
So what's inside them? What personalities do they have? What fears do they have? We all have fears. We all have fears. And to tap into that and really kind of exploit it in a way as a writer can feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
One of the best pieces of writing advice I ever got was, okay, so the first mistake I made when I wrote this book, this is my first book, and I wrote it about 9 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote it in 6 months, which is crazy fast. Yeah. And then I took another probably 8 to 9 months to edit it. And as I was going through the editing process, I had a developmental editor that looked at it, and she said, Kristin, the writing is really wonderful, it's, you know, it's good, but it's too happy. And I said, what? She says, it's too happy. I said, what do you mean? It's supposed to be a happy book.
Yeah.
She said, but nothing really bad happens to her.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't want anything bad to happen
right.
to her.
It's not a grand tragedy.
You know,
There's
she said, no, you don't understand. Like, she doesn't have to, you know, I said, like, does she need to break a leg? Like, what does she need to do? You need to put her in a tree and throw rocks at her.
Yeah,
and that's a quote from Stephen King.
Yeah.
And I said, why would I do that? And she said, that's your problem.
Right.
I think as new writers, we get so precious about the work
mm-hmm.
and about the characters. We really don't want anything bad to happen to them.
Right.
So we kind of swing to the side of bubble wrapping everybody.
Right. But you have to let everybody else root for her.
Yeah, so let's put her in challenging situations, and that really helped me turn the whole book around.
Yeah.
Let's make her fall down. Let's make her...
I'd be so curious to read the original manuscript.
Actually, you know, the first chapter never changed.
Never changed, yeah.
Never changed, yeah. But it's interesting, you really do, as a new writer, feel very precious about the work, about keeping things really light and fun. And even if it's a fun book, there still has to be challenges that character needs to go through, because you want to turn the page.
Right.
Is she going to be able to do it? Is she going to make it? You can laugh all the way through,
mm-hmm.
but how is she going to feel the next morning? Is she going to have regrets? Is she going to get off the ship? You know, what is she going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So once I learned that my character was stronger than I had given her credit for, and that's not after until like the 4th or 5th draft,
mm-hmm.
you realize who she is.
Mm-hmm.
You can start doing things to her and she will respond in
right.
a way that really surprises you.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So as a writer, what are you most curious about right now that will, in some way, I'm sure, likely make its way into this book that you're working on at this point?
You know what? I'm at such an early stage with this book. I'm on my 5th book, and I started it about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different book. I'm learning that I don't want to call myself a seasoned writer at this point. I don't know why. But I just don't feel like I've earned that. I feel like I'm resting on things that have worked for me in the past, and I find myself kind of going down similar paths in storytelling and writing, and I have to kind of freshen that up. And I know how to do that, and it's to read other books.
In other genres,
Other genres, completely, yeah. So I have pulled things out of my bookcase, and
What are you reading?
Stacked them. Oh my gosh. I am reading again Educated by Tara Westover.
Yeah.
Now, I've read that book 3 times,
Uh-huh.
but I always get something more out of it, because it's really a disjointed line of storytelling, and it's longitudinal. She starts when she's this age, she ends when she's this age, but it's not like, and then the next day I did this,
Right,
and then
right.
next month I did this. She's not really time stamping anything, so I already got something out of that. It still flows really well. The plot, which I found, I read the end of the book, and now I know what happens.
Why?
I wanted to know what happened.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like
So you deliberately.
I deliberately went to the end of the book to read it because I knew it was going to be a really great ending, and I couldn't wait. And I read, and now the whole book's ruined.
Are you still gonna? You have to. You have to.
I know. And then you know what? Laura Ingalls. You know, just the just being soothed about mom churning butter.
Yeah.
Whenever I get really stressed, I pull one of those out. I've got, what else do I have? I just pulled another one out. I have a stack. And I think that for me, looking at other genres is really important. Chuck Wendig, who I met early on in my writing career at my first ever writing conference. Chuck Wendig is a New York Times bestseller. He wrote for Star Wars, but now he's completely into horror and sci-fi, genres I never would read. Would never read. Met him, funniest person you ever met. Just was so kind to me. And I didn't know any better. I asked him all kinds of questions. And then I realized who he was and just about fainted. And have met him several times. I've written for his blog. You know, he's just been a huge ally for me. And he will never read this.
No?
No. But I read his work because he's so funny.
Yeah.
And the horror and the pacing. I did an interview with him for Writer's Digest. It was a cover story, probably my most favorite piece. And it was just Chuck and I talking. And he's a great storyteller. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I'm learning from other writers and other genres is it's about story.
Of course, yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what the copy looks like or anything like that. Is it a good story?
Right.
And will it hold your attention? And for me, his writing is so impactful that I want to know more.
Right.
And his use of cadence in sentences, his use of repetition, you know, is fascinating. So I've been able to, you know, kind of take those things and hopefully kind of get more inspired.
Right.
I think that's what it really comes down to. I haven't lost writing skills, but I've lost some inspiration.
Yeah, and I think reading in like cross genre, it does sharpen that. We see that a lot with the band book club because Ray Bradbury, for example, we read Fahrenheit 451, and there are people who are like, oh, sci-fi, not my genre, but then love Fahrenheit 451.
It's a classic for a reason.
Slaughterhouse 5.
It's a classic for a reason.
And same with the graphic novels. If you read Mouse or Persepolis, and it really has gotten people that are, you know, either strictly literary fiction, strictly romance, strictly whatever
or
their
non-readers
lane is,
or
totally,
non-readers
to expand, broaden their horizons, and it really does help with writing, of course.
So the genre I probably don't read at all in is romance.
Oh, interesting.
I'm just not a romance person. So one of the critiques I had from an agent when I was shopping this book around was there is no romance, and I said, yeah,
there's no romance, but there's like a tone of the writing that feels like
fits
with it. I think so, for sure.
Okay. Well, she said just a smidge. I said, what's a smidge? She goes, just a flirtation.
Yeah.
So I threw in a little bit, which actually I really love now because she doesn't know how to deal with it, and I thought I could use this to my advantage.
Right.
And then it comes full circle in the end, which is great. But I have a writer friend who's self-published. She's amazing, and she gave me one of her books. She goes, it's romance, and I said, you know, she goes, just read it. It's I think you're gonna like it. It was spicy romance.
Ooh.
Talk about a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, and she's a damn good writer. And so I read the whole thing, and I'm like, girl, this is fantastic. And so
and there's a certain kind of suspense in
like,
those
really?
books that are just different.
Like, how far is she going to go with this?
It's smart to read because you can translate that into
Absolutely. And so I can't say there's one genre I won't read. Like, I love essay, I love memoir, I love nonfiction. You know, Mary Carr, I love. I just, classic essay, memoir. But there's some really new stuff that's coming out that's just incredible. And I feel like I can't stay on top of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot that's blurring the lines of genre.
Yes, like the whole
If you Let It Kill You by Hannah Petard, I can't get enough of that
Oh,
one
really?
right
I don't
now.
know that one.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay.
There's a sister dynamic in it.
Okay.
It's autofiction. It's literary fiction, but autofiction. It's so good. Yeah, it's great. Brand new.
Well, Yellowface, I think, when Yellowface came out, I think all the authors just exploded because, all the writers just exploded because finally somebody was telling a story that anybody who writes could get behind and see what writers are willing to do to move ahead. And I think I finished that book in one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that hasn't happened to me in a long time. So when I
Right.
find a book and I'm in it, I can read the whole thing from cover to cover.
Right.
And yeah.
What questions do you guys have?
I have some, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. I had a bunch and they won't let.
Yeah, I know. I just sprang it on you. I should have asked a question and
Yeah.
then let you anticipate.
I was going to ask, you mentioned your writing group and how you were writing shorter pieces
Yeah.
about beer and wine,
Yeah.
and they encouraged you to write more,
Yeah.
longer pieces. So what were your first steps when you decided to take that bigger leap?
That's a really good question. What I wanted to do all along was write essay, but I didn't know they were called essays. They weren't stories, but they were stories.
Right.
And so it was called creative nonfiction. What the hell is that? I don't know. So I started going to a writing conference in Colorado and learning about the different places that I thought my writing could fit. And so it's really, really hard to get an essay in any type of literary magazine to begin with, but I was looking at like Cosmo or like Oprah and all those, because they would always have one essay in there about something. I thought, that's what I really want. Well, that is probably the most competitive thing I could have put my sights on. And so I realized I had to start smaller. And so I started writing essays for the local newspaper that had a monthly insert. And that's how I started writing essays. And then I realized it's so difficult that I have a better chance of writing for the local magazines about things they really want, which was beer and wine. But then after I was learning about the editorial process and practicing exactly, getting sixth sense of word, I realized that I was developing these really good relationships with the editors, and I was always, reliable, on time. The very little editing needed to happen. I gave them exactly what they wanted. I reached out and said, hey, I got this really cool idea for an essay. And they were willing to try it. So in some of the magazines that I were writing beer and wine stuff, I would pop an essay in, and that would get a lot of feedback because people thought it was great. And then I started submitting to some anthologies to get some of those in there. But I have a ton of essays that have never seen the light of day. That's how I started finding out how I like to write. How my editor wants me to write a piece on dark lagers from Czechoslovakia is one thing. How I want to write a story is different. But I want you to be able to pick up that beer piece and know that I wrote it. So a good example would be my first piece ever for the magazine was they wanted a 600-word piece on how to clean your floors in the springtime. This was in Colorado, okay, so it's muddy and wet and all that. How to clean your floors. And I said, okay. I was very excited. That's not at all what I thought I was going to get assigned.
Look how far you've come.
Right? And sometimes you guys just sit back and go, listen, I got a book.
I know. But back to the cleaning of floors.
So I wrote it twice. Once very, buy a Swiffer, do this, do that. The other one was, make boots for your dog, something, that was completely different. Like the way I wanted to write it in my voice with some humor attached to it that I would want to read. And I sent them both to the editor. I said, you're going to love one and you're going to hate the other. Choose the one that you want. And they chose the one with the humor. And I knew it was very validating for me. So to move from that to this wasn't that hard. It was more about learning about story arc and expanding it and adding characters and location and more perspectives besides mine. It was just bumping it up. And the writing group was so important. I wouldn't have this book.
Yeah, community.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I was with them for 5 years. Yeah. But you know who you are as a writer. You just have to find the story that you get excited about, that you want to tell, and things will start to fall into place.
Yeah, and find people to talk about it with.
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
thing.
So I lost my group because I moved to Florida, and I still have a great writer friend who I call once a month, and we just talk on the phone and drink wine and cry. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really wonderful. But it is important to have people around you that understand about the business of this, because it is crazy. It is crazy. I used to run $1 million business at a university, and a university's a business too. And if I ran my business the way publishers run their business, I would have been fired long ago. We'll get back to you means 6 months. We'll get back to you really soon. We'll get back to you ASAP. 3 months. That's in the contract's coming. A year. Still no contract. So, and we take it because we've got another book and another book, and we want to get the book out.
Well, why don't you start a publishing company and do it right?
You know what? I teach a lot about in the libraries here in Florida, and I teach also on the ships, which is great. I have 2 talent agents, which is amazing. They're both in London, and they place me on the Cunard ships. So I'm on the Queen Elizabeth, and I'm on the Queen Mary, and I'm on the Queen Anne, and
It's Queens.
and Queen Victoria. There's 4 of them now.
Wow.
And it's been really incredible. But
And then
publishing,
you're doing 2 things you love. you
yes,
know?
and that was strategic.
Mhm.
You know, I knew when this book came out that most people who would like it would be people on the ship.
Mhm.
So I auditioned with Cunard, and they approved me, and I've been on board with them for about a year and a half now.
Well, it would be
Yeah.
fun to read on a ship, but it's
Right?
great no matter what. Like,
Right?
you don't have to be I'm not a cruise person.
No,
you know?
and neither was I.
Yeah, so but I just
Yeah.
mean it appeals
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
has a wide appeal.
Yeah, and so the great thing about it was when you set your goals for, what do you want to be as a writer? What's your goal for this book? My goal for this book was never to be New York Times bestseller, none of that, because I know my reach is very small. I'm a debut artist. I mean, there's my publisher's small. Yes, we're hooked up with Simon & Schuster, which is great, but I know I'm going to be doing most of the marketing,
Right.
most of the promotion on my own. And even though I have an agent and all of that, how do I get this book on board? The only way I can get this book on board is if I'm on board. So the best thing is when I'm on the Queen Elizabeth and I bring in a box of books and I give them to the bookstore, and they have them out and they do a beautiful job decorating, and I'm on stage talking about publishing and the challenges of publishing and the different ways you can be published, and I talk about memoir, and I talk about characters and how to be a New York Times, all that stuff that people want to know. They go back to the bookstore and they see this book and their heads just explode, because as they're reading the book, they're on the ship. And my goal always has been to be on one of the Cunard ships and see a woman at the pool reading my book.
Which I'm sure you've seen many,
Not-
many, many times.
Not yet.
No?
No, it's been winter. When I first-
That's
So
true.
when you're working on a cruise ship,
Mhm.
how much do you work? Are you working?
I work a lot.
Good question.
Yeah, I work a lot. They take very good care of me, and I have somebody who can come with me. Usually it's my husband,
Right.
but now we call him my handler, which I don't think he likes.
That's funny.
So what happens is I usually do something on stage, a general topic about writing, or a lot of people want to do memoir. So I talk about why good memoirs are good memoirs, and I give great examples and things like that. But then I also do workshops afterwards in a smaller venue, and usually they're filled. We've actually had people sit on the floor, which you don't do on a Cunard ship apparently. That's like for boating,
yeah.
okay? So, and then I usually take a nap, and then we go to dinner. But for us to get from the front of the maitre d' line to the table, I get stopped a lot with questions and all of that. And if we're having drinks in the lounge, people will stop by, and that's really part of my job.
Right.
Is to talk to people. And the ship that I'm on in 2 weeks is a British ship called Fred Olsen, Balmoral. I actually have to host a lunch for people so they can sit and talk to me about their books and ideas and things like that. So it is pretty busy. And people think, oh my gosh, but you're having these great dinners, and I'm like, yeah.
But you're still on the whole
but I'm
time.
on the whole time.
Yeah.
And I do get tired.
Yeah.
I do get tired. And my mom's coming with me
Oh.
on the Queen Mary in a month.
Oh, that's
So she's
exciting.
never been on one of the ships, and so she's very excited.
I bet.
Yeah.
How
So she-
long of a cruise is it?
This one is easy for me.
Okay.
It's from New York to New York.
Okay.
We're actually going to the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
But we have to fly to New York and then go all the
That's
way down,
so funny.
do the Caribbean, and then go
And then
all
go
the way
back.
back up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So is
But-
that a week?
It's 12 days.
12
days.
Yeah.
That's
But
some time.
It is, but that's why they need me.
Yeah.
If it was just a 7-day something, they wouldn't need me as much, but I usually get booked for like world voyages on Viking, because I'll do like 2 workshops a day, and people need to be entertained on sea days.
Yeah, that's a
So
lot of
sea days are tough because you got everybody on a ship,
nothing to do.
there's nothing to do, so let's get them writing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get paid properly for it?
I am taken care of.
Yeah, that's good. You don't have to like stay in the bowels of the ship. Where
I did on Princess when I first started. Princess was pretty.
like the Titanic. Where
It was like the
where
Titanic.
Leo was
Yeah,
staying.
yeah. We had like little oars we had to use. Yeah, they had flipped down. It was a quad inside cabin that there were beds that flipped down,
Oh no.
and when they flipped up, they stuck out. So my husband and we had like 2 concussions each by the time we were done with this
Oh
trip.
my gosh.
But you know, that's part of sea life. That's part
Yeah.
of. But now I'm in the nicer cabins. Yeah, very nice cabins. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a good negotiator.
When you started writing Elizabeth Sales, did you outline it, or are you a pantser?
Uh-huh.
Good question. There's a pantser or a plotter.
Yeah.
There's a what? What's the
It's
word?
called a
Pantser or a
pantser.
plotter?
A pantser or a plotter.
Cancer.
Fly by the
Pantser.
seat of your pants,
Yeah.
or you plot it all
Got it.
out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, some people know the end when they begin.
Yeah.
And then some people don't know the end when they begin.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I need to know the title and the first line.
Oh, the title, interesting.
Yeah, I have to.
it
That's my
change?
framework. No,
Oh wow.
no, which is unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it hit all the notes for me. So the title and the first line, and then I kind of know where I'm going. I used to teach statistics, so I love graphs, paper, highlighters,
Charts.
post-it notes. I've made charts for this book on 3x5 poster board.
Like doing a quilt.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly,
hey.
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was more about being new to the process. And so, do I have my high point? You know, do I have my low points? How much backstory am I throwing into this? Is it evenly spaced out? So I
You
use
see it like an equation that you're also trying to, like you have to have these certain bits.
yeah, and like, are there emotional beats that are happening? And just does it feel like it's flowing right? So does it feel that way, or does it look that way? So I'm taking all the feelings and I'm putting it on paper so I can see it. Now I don't do that as much because I kind of know when I'm missing something. But that poster board was crucial for me. And now it's more about, I think I know what I'm doing. Like I never really outline. I have 3 pieces of paper, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and when I think of something that I think is really good or funny, or I don't want to lose it, I'll decide where it should go in the book, and I'll just write a note. And then as I'm writing, I look at that and say, oh yeah, that would be a good time to bring that in. But I don't know, like the book I'm writing now, I have no idea how this thing's going to end. And it really bothers me.
Yeah.
Because if anybody should know, it should be me.
Right.
Yeah.
The books, I always read that characters take on their own
They do.
personalities,
They
and it's
do.
going to tell you.
Yeah.
But again, when you don't nail the ending, as you know, those are books that I get disappointed in.
Yeah.
It's been so good, and then there's the end.
Yeah, it's sometimes the author just ran out of steam, or they didn't allow the editing process to really flow.
Right.
Like it takes me 7 drafts to write a book. First draft is always the hardest. You know, what is it about? It's you. It's the book telling the story to you.
Yeah.
You telling the story to the page, and you don't know what the story is.
Right.
And then by the time you're done, you're like, okay, that character, I can really dial her up or dial her down, or I think this would be a really great opportunity to do this. And you go back and you start at the beginning and you work your way through the second draft, and it just gets better and better and better.
So do you dictate it? Do you type it? Do you longhand it?
And I'm a terrible typist.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be more fun
Terrible
to just dictate it
typist.
and let it type itself.
Yeah, terrible. I can't type from. I always type form.
Oh yeah.
Always. So in my find tool, it's find form and change it to
Are you
from.
right-handed?
I'm left-handed.
Oh, interesting.
I have no idea.
Okay.
An hors d'oeuvre, for the life of me.
I mean.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah. But I have a cheat sheet that I use with character names, proper names, things that the characters might say, like conversational things they might use, like yowza, who says yowza? Not everybody can say yowza, so she's gonna say yowza. And then crutch words that I always wind up using. I use also, apparently. So I know at the end of the 6th draft, I gotta go back and get rid of all of those. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So after a while, you do get a little more comfortable, and you do get a little bit more, I don't want to say confident, because you never feel confident as a writer, because it's really not for you. It really is for somebody else to read. So you can love it, you can think it's the best thing you've ever wrote, but if people don't enjoy it, then it really doesn't matter.
And you have no control over it. You can't explain your book to everyone.
No, you
who's
shouldn't
reading
have.
it.
You shouldn't have
Exactly.
to.
Right.
You shouldn't have to. Yeah. So.
Any other questions?
I have a couple.
Yeah, go for it.
Please,
Go ahead.
You talked a little bit about needing to expand the word count,
Yeah.
delve deeper into how did you do that? Can you talk more about
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Exactly. As a journalist, you're probably very much
to the
stay on
point?
task.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You start recognizing. So what I usually do is after draft 2 or 3, I print it out, and I go to Staples or whatever it's called here, and bind it, comb bind it, single page, and it's about this big, but it's like $50. It is worth every cent, because you read it like a book. You take it to the library and you sit there and you read it and you see where, oh, I could use a lot of description here. Or I could really use a flashback, because she keeps talking about her parents, but we never see her parents on the page.
And when you're
all
reading
of
it,
a sudden,
thinking like, what
Yeah.
would someone be hungrier for?
yeah,
You know.
because now you're the reader, and you're like, oh. And so on the flip side of the page where it's blank, just start writing. So that's the only time I really ever handwrite, is when I edit around 3 or 4 draft. But you start realizing I could really use some more description. I could really bump up some of the internal dialogue. Okay. Things that we would normally feel like are fluffy, all of a sudden need to be there for the reader to have a more enjoyable experience. So I'm glad I came up through writing that way, because it makes me more thoughtful about what I want to put on the page, and dial it up. I'm much better at dialing it up than dialing it back.
I think that's generally easier to do, because once you've written something, you like it, and you get kind of precious about it, and so it's a lot harder to go back and say, oh no, I'm going to take away this scene.
Yes.
I love that. It's better to get the skeleton and then have to add some fat. You know?
And the thing is, once you do take things out, if you do, like if something really doesn't work, like I already know right now the piece I'm working on, there is a whole 2 paragraphs that just can be cut out. I think new writers feel, again, precious about it. They make another document and they stick it there. I'll use that later. You will never use it.
But
you will never use it.
Yeah.
But you will
It's
never
there.
use it. You will never use it.
I have
and then
that
when
document. It's called Cuts.
It's
where
cut.
it's just like
use this later.
Yeah.
And then you look back at it and you go, oh,
What even is this?
I don't know. Yeah. And that's just because you're more confident in your writing, and because I think new writers feel like that's the best work I can do, and if I move that over here, then maybe I can still use it. But you are so capable of writing more.
Well, that's what we tell little kids, tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Those are the 3 words.
Tell more of the story. Talk. Don't just talk about the gangway. Talk about how far it is off the port side. Don't just talk about the waves. Tell me what all the different colors of blue are in those waves, because they're mesmerizing. Don't show me they're mesmerizing. You know, give me more feelings about it.
So
How
I'm
she
picturing
feels
it
about
in my
it. Yeah,
mind.
I want you to see it. I don't just want you to see it. I want you to smell it. I want you to taste the salt. I want you to feel the breeze. Use all your senses. So that's when all of a sudden you start writing and you got, oh, now I got 2 paragraphs about the waves. So yeah, it gets easier. It does.
I was just reading Adriana Trigiani, whatever her name is, her book, Lake Como. In the beginning, I'm like, tell me less. Tell me
Yeah,
less.
there's
But it got a whole lot better.
Yeah.
You know.
Tell me less.
Yeah, and we're being taught now as writers that we need to get right into the story
Yeah.
quicker. And it has a lot to do, they've done some scientific studies about this. Books are about 10-15% less pages than they were 10 years ago. The inciting event has to happen very quick because people don't have the attention span that they used to. And it's a lot about
so many books to read.
yeah.
There's so many to pick from
Yeah.
that if I'm not feeling it,
Yep.
next.
And yet, but the thing is, the flip side of that is I want to be invested in a
Yeah.
character because I don't. If they get shot in the head on page 1, do I care? You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who this person is. So there is a really delicate balance of being pushed to get to the incident faster. And I was in a contest, and they said, "Oh, you took too long to get to the incident." I said, "It was on page 3."
Yeah.
You know, and that's not fast enough. So just take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Also, because it can feel hacky. Too.
It can feel very prescriptive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Any
Other
other
questions?
I have one more, if
Yeah,
you
go
don't
for it.
mind. What are your favorite, I guess the word would be resources for learning about writing? Books, magazines, people, blogs.
Conferences.
Yes, Writer's Digest is a great periodical if you don't get that already.
I'll go back and read your articles.
Blogs, the shit nobody tells you about writing. That's the name of it.
So, yeah, the podcast. Too.
Yes, the
Yeah.
podcast.
That's a great podcast.
It
I
is.
love that podcast.
Chuck Wendig has a book
Yeah.
called The Kick-Ass Writer. It's very funny. You know, and honestly, Stephen King's on writing, again, not a fan, but it gives you a perspective. It's been around for decades, but it gives you a perspective about what it's like to be a writer and the doubts that you have coming from a guy who's one of the most prolific writers we've ever had. And the fact that he has doubts and still motors through. And the challenges. I think for me as a new writer, it was important to hear about challenges because I felt challenged all the time. Who else? Courtney Mom's Everything You Need to Know. I think, no, that's not the right title. Courtney Mom, M-A-U-M. Yeah. Everything You need to know about getting published, I think it is. She takes you from the absolute first draft.
Oh no, you're thinking of I know exactly what you're talking about. The cover has the check marks
Yes,
on it.
yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, that
it's-
series of everything you need to
no,
know.
it's different.
No?
This is oh
What
my
is it?
gosh, I know it. It's,
You know what I'm talking
it's on my
about.
coffee table. It's
She's
like
great.
yeah.
She's great.
Let me tell you. Oh, I need to look this up so we can.
I know,
Give it
sorry,
To
I
you. Yeah,
should
I
know.
can picture the cover.
It's not book proposals.
No,
It's everything you need to know about. I think that's the subline.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that book is just dog-eared for me. Yeah. And you know, go to a writing conference. Go to a writing
Before and
conference.
after the book deal.
Before and after the book deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A writer's guide for finishing, publishing, promoting, and surviving your first book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great book.
Go to a writer's conference, but with the caveat of make sure you look at the faculty that are there, and there are going to be a lot of people who are independently published, which is great because they're able to do it, but they're not going to know a lot about the industry in terms of agents, publishers, resources, advances, royalties, and all of that. And if that's the track that you want to do, make sure that some of the faculty have that. The instructors are able to talk about that because you need to have a full scope if you're interested in publishing of what all your options are. I feel like we're doing a lot of work with independent self-published authors because they need it in terms of marketing and promotion. But there's also a whole nother group of writers who don't want that path, and I think we're not focusing on them anymore. So if that is a path that you're interested in, make sure that you're going to, and there'll be the larger conferences, you know. But you will meet writers of all different kinds, and that in itself is worth it because they will be talking your language, they will have the same concerns that you do. You will walk away with so much more, and you feel like you're not just by yourself because writing is a lonely task. And if you're an extrovert like me, it can be really difficult because the dog don't care.
Yeah, and there are a lot of online workshops too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a ton.
But the beauty about being physically together, I think, is gold.
For sure.
Craft Talks.
Residencies are great for that same reason too.
I teach for Craft Talks, and it's an amazing organization. They have terrific. I'm actually taking a class with them tomorrow. It's on essay, and it's just something I didn't know about, so I'm taking it. But Craft Talks is terrific. The price point's wonderful. But to be physically with 200-300 writers is magic. Yeah.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course.
But you go first. You had something.
Well, mine's on a different topic, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you could talk a little bit more about the literary agent process.
Sure. Yeah. So I wrote this book 8-9 years ago. It took a year and a half, 2 years to get it finished. It took me 2 years to get the agent. It took her 2 years to sell the book. It took 2 years for the book to come out.
That's shocking.
And that's
It's
fast.
not uncommon.
No,
Yeah,
that is not
I was
uncommon.
gonna say, that's-
That is not uncommon. Now, if you're a self-published author, the book I'm working on right now, and let's say I get it done this weekend, I can have it out on Amazon on Monday. Will it be good? No. I need a team of people. So I knew coming into this new profession of mine that I didn't grow up or was educated as a writer. The last writing class I took was freshman year in college. That's it. So how am I going to learn this business? I need people who know the business. So I knew that I wanted to go traditional. I wanted to have people help me to be successful. I wanted to be part of a team. So the literary agent is pivotal. If you don't have an agent, the big five, Simon & Schuster, Hachette, Macmillan, all those other great people, basically in New York, will not look at your book. The agent is the gatekeeper. So to get the agent is your first step to get into traditional publishing. But to get the agent is so difficult.
And you have to have the book done now too.
It is
you have to have a full manuscript.
If it's a fiction.
Yeah.
If it's nonfiction, like even a memoir, you have to have a book proposal, which is a whole nother thing. So the book has to be done. And I have taught classes on querying, and I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, my book is done. Kinda.
And querying is what it's
no.
called when you send your work to the publisher.
Yeah. So when you
or to the agent, sorry.
Yeah. So when you query your novel, the book has to be done. It has to be the right page length or word count. It has to be to the right agent who represents that genre, because there's some agents that don't represent
cozy mystery.
Cozy. They do romance. So why would I send them my manuscript? So there's a lot of research that needs to take place, but there's great tools out there that can do it. Your query letter has to be 300 to 400 words. There are 3 sections to the query letter, and you're like, really? Yes, really.
That's why that podcast is also really great.
Yes.
The one that you recommended.
Yeah.
It goes over all of this.
Yeah.
Every
so
single episode.
Every single thing. Yeah. And so to get that agent interested, that's the letter. Please be interested in my manuscript, and these are the reasons why. The query letter has to be better than your manuscript. Because if it's not, they're never going to ask for your manuscript. So if your query letter sings off the page, and they're all emails now, or on forms, through Query Manager, which is terrific, they will request your pages. And they'll probably say, give me 40, or give me the full. And then you're like, yes. I queried 189 agents.
Oh my gosh.
Guess how many fulls I got? 48.
That's awesome.
Yes. That's
awesome.
Incredible. You usually get about 10 to 20% of your, so that's right there. That's pretty darn good. Guess how many offers I got? 2.
That's great too.
Yeah. So
That's rare.
once you get your agent, you sign on with your agent, and then she already knows where she's going to send it to, and it's a she. 99.9% it's a she. She will send it on to houses that she has relationships with that are looking for a cozy mystery. Okay? Because otherwise, that's her business. So, my agent now is a senior partner with a literary agency. She makes phone calls. She goes and has coffee with somebody in New York, and they still do that even after COVID.
Yeah.
She goes and have coffee. She goes, I got this cozy mystery. This author is a hustler, and that's a good thing apparently.
Well, yeah, especially because now there's not the budget for. I mean, yeah, like even
Book tours.
Penguin Random House could have
No
maybe
book tours.
one book that they put all of their energy into.
Yeah.
So
So
you
she's
have
a
to-
hustler. She goes and does this. She teaches. She's actually on the ships. And so she plays me up, and then they're like, oh, okay. So she's gonna work. She's gonna work to sell this book. That's great. Okay. Yeah. She's your advocate,
Yeah.
and she doesn't get paid until you get paid, and they get 15%. So when your royalty check for $100 comes in, you only get 85.
It's like a personal injury lawyer or something in that way when you think of it, where it's like,
But
if
the
you
thing
win
is
the
too,
case,
I wouldn't have that check if it wasn't for her.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But the query agent, if you're looking for a resource, Angie Hodapp, HODDAPP. She is an acquisitions person for Kristin Nelson Literary Agency in Denver, of all places. She has a book that's $12.95. It's on Amazon. It's everything you want to know about literary agents.
We could probably get it here too.
And the follow-on book about how to write a query letter. Those are the best 2 books you can get. Plus she's fantastic. I love her. Yeah, I've met Angie several times. She's wonderful. Yeah. But yeah, the whole process is really about how do you get past it, and it really tells you something about the writer too. How far are they willing to go to get their work out there in front of people? Because it takes a long time.
Yeah. And I would say, and this is not just because, of course, I'm here, but having relationships with your local indie bookstore, because again, like if you could have a book, but if you don't get your book in bookstores, and it's the booksellers, book buyers who are buying the books from the publishers, and the publishers are only advertising to us the biggest of the books, right? That's what we get in the magazines. But the books that people, if you are a part of the community, you come in, we meet authors all the time, then of course you're going to form relationships, and the best way to sell your book is to have people hand selling it in bookstores.
And that is rightly so. And so one of my closest bookstore is Copperfish in Punta Gorda.
Yeah.
Wonderful little tiny little store. But I was going there a lot, and I said, hey, my book's coming out, and they're like, oh, that's lovely. I said, would you be interested in doing so? Oh, let us know when it's out. And then they said, oh, you're with Simon Schuster, that's great, we can get them in, no problem, we don't have to do consignment stuff and all of that. And I said, well, I'm doing a book tour, but I'm going to be in Colorado because most of my people are in Colorado, but I would love to do a Florida book tour. Would you like to host it? And we had a huge party. It was fantastic. We sold out of everything. And then we had so much fun. I did a little presentation, and they asked me to come back in the spring.
That's great.
And so we did it twice. And it's just like they wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have gone out and to introduce myself. And I know a lot of writers aren't like that.
Yeah.
They just want to write and be left alone. And that's fine, but I really hope your book's good.
Right. And if you're writing, you've got to be reading. And if you're reading and you want people to buy your book, hopefully you're buying it from an indie bookstore. So hopefully no matter what, you'd already have that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. But my agent, she's so funny. She's like, most writers are eyes with cardigans. And every time I think of that, it makes me laugh, because that's most of the people I know who are writers. They just want to write. Whereas I love doing things like this. I like talking to people about it. I like motivating people to write, because everybody's got a book in them. Everybody. And I just think for some reason this industry is so tough on purpose that you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. How bad do you want that? Well, if you want your story out there, you can do it. You really can. I'm 56 years old. My debut came out last year. It's possible, you know, and I don't like being told no.
Right.
So if you've got something that you want to write it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for you.
And you don't have to be impatient either. That's the good thing with writing, because it is like the longer it takes to the writer is getting better at what you're doing,
Yes,
and
the
it
craft
will always
gets
be better. So
better,
it's not
yeah.
something that's like, oh, but I wrote that once. No, it doesn't matter how
Yeah.
long ago you wrote it.
Yeah, and then you get a really good backlist. So if you do make it, your agent's like, oh, she's got 4 more books, which is what she's doing right now for me. So,
Right.
Yeah.
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 And you had a question.
Well, I was just gonna tell me about Europe. You decided to live in Europe because.
Oh, my husband was a United States Air Force intelligence officer, and we met when we were older, and it was our first and last marriage, I think we were telling people. So we met when I was a dean at the University of Maryland, and he was in DC getting his second master's degree. We wound up meeting and got engaged, and his next assignment was Alaska, and I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's okay.
It's okay.
my niece can't wait to go back.
It's beautiful, but to live there is
You
really
were in Florida,
tough.
so I can.
Yeah, it's really tough, especially for a New Yorker woman, female,
Yeah.
with a PhD. It was tough. So then his last assignment was in Germany, and he was working with NATO. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I was a German major in college, so I was able to go
Oh,
back
wow.
with money this time and buy stuff and learn about beer and wine. So that's how we moved back from Germany to the States to live
Is
in
he
Colorado.
retired now?
Fully, yes.
Now he's your hand.
He loves
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Not totally retired. Still your handler.
He's my handler.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
so.
great. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
talking
This
to
has
us.
been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the conversation and the
Really
questions.
interesting.
And
You asked good questions.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
really good
Yeah,
questions.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,